Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speedy here, and today we're going to be watching Rank 2 North American player pakasz. Now specifically in today's video, I want to teach you guys about rotating the fights and getting active in the carry role. Now we're going to be watching Weaver, and of course this video is not fully specific to Weaver at all. It's very much just focused on any fighting carry. And the main concept I want to focus on is when do you stop farming and when do you join the fights? What do you look for? Because I coach a lot of 2 to 3K players, and I tend to notice that they are far on the spectrum in one way or the other. They either farm way too much or fight way too much, and they have like 30 CS a minute 17. Maybe that's a slight over exaggeration, but either way, let's get into the video.
I just want to say, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the gameleap website. It's currently 50% off. All right, I know you're like, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, I don't know. It is now the time to sign up. I'm making a lot of videos over on the website. I've made 5 videos in the last few days. Videos on the off lane, safe lane, mid lane, draft analysis, game analysis. Basically anything you're looking for is going to be on the website. And if it's not, I have multiple people who are signed up on the website message me through Discord saying I'm looking for this guide, and I'll make the guide. Like, very frequently that happens. And so yeah, if you're looking for a much better Dota experience, you want to win solo queue and get to the next rank, gameleap is currently 50% off. You can sign up down below using code FEB50, and I'll see you guys there.
Alright, so at the 10-minute mark, we're going to see our first rotation of the game. For a little bit of context, he definitely had a very good lane, completely crushing the Mars, and overall his team is having a pretty solid match. And basically, honestly, this rotation is a sign of why this guy's rank 2, but the reason why I like this rotation is he pushes in the creep wave. So what he does really well is anytime you want to TP out of your lane, best case scenario, you clear the wave and then TP. This does 2 things. It prevents you from losing a lot of gold, which is great from just a pure efficiency standpoint, and then also it makes the play a lot less obvious. If the Weaver just lets the creep wave start hitting the bottom tower, it's very likely the enemy team at this level, and at any level, will pick up on it. And so he ends up TPing mid. Now, this isn't exactly a normal scenario, so we're going to look at other examples too, but he's just going to kill the Zeus. What's really great about pakasz is simply that he understands that this is possible. The average player is very tunnel vision on their laning opponent, and that's it. They don't think like, oh, I'm playing Weaver against a hero that is very bad at defending themselves against a mobile hero in the likes of a Zeus, right? And other mid heroes that could feed to a Weaver are Leshrac, Shadow Fiend, as we see here, Zeus, all of these immobile heroes. While Weaver can't solo kill all of them depending on his game state, he definitely can threaten them. And that's just part of being good. You have to know who your hero threatens, and Weaver's very good against heroes that cannot kill the bug and get stuck. And after killing the Zeus, he's going to shift back to the mid lane and clean up the fight. Right, this is obviously extremely easy to understand. He was, here in the first place, so it's not an overcommitment of his time, and he's gonna get the mid-tier 1. His solo kill mid sets up for a mid-tier 1. It's an extremely high skill player from pakasz here. After that, he's gonna farm the jungle and make his way back towards the bottom lane. As I kind of talked about earlier, a big thing that I'm a fan of is making your plays less obvious and being efficient in between team fights. Time-lapse is on cooldown right now, which doesn't mean he can't fight. Like, Weaver isn't really that ulti dependent, but it's good for him to defend this bottom tower from the cart, right? This cart would likely take the tower if no one came back bottom. So he's going to defend the tower, which is just great. And then he's going to also be able to farm out bottom. And because his TP is coming back up now, he's going to be able to rotate once again if needed. Next, I'd like to show you guys an engagement that he actually doesn't show up to. So, right, which ones do you show up to and which ones don't you show up to? He's going to push out the mid lane and make his way towards the top side. Honestly, to some extent, I think he could have went into the triangle with his team here, just because they're playing with a bounty hunter. They definitely have a team comp that scales okay, but I would say they get outscaled. The reason why is Zeus scales extraordinarily well, and Lina, I would say, outcarries Weaver pretty hard. And so I could have definitely seen a world where he continued to play high tempo. Now, he ends up not invading the jungle and goes top. I can't exactly say I know why, I'm definitely not going to claim to, but at this point a fight does break out. Notice how he completely ignores this fight. I actually think this is a big deal. A lot of players will get caught up in engagements like this one, and that's where I think it becomes a big issue for the average player. They'll TP across the map and end up joining a fight that's done by the time they get there. At that point, just push in the top wave, finish up your item. In this case, he's very close to the Gleipnir, right? That's obviously a massive timing, especially with how good people think Gleipnir is right now. I definitely am a fan of the item myself, and he's going to farm up the jungle with the information he had. So he ends up getting kicked out of the top side of the map momentarily. The enemy team sort of makes a coordinated rotation and makes him leave the area. Now, he has 2 options, connect with his team or go back top. He ends up connecting with his team mid here. Now, let's talk about why that is. I think it really mainly comes down to just the Gleipnir, right? I really do. I really think he's partially afraid of them top, but largely he's just got his Gleipnir and wants to get going. And so he gets this item, they find a Mars, and because of the fact that he's in the area, they're able to take down the Mars. Unfortunately not in duel, but they get the kill. Of course, from there, they're going to look to chase, right? They see the enemy Lina, they have a bounty hunter, and they end up finding the enemy Lina. They get a nice Gleipnir, which unfortunately gets clipped by the stun, but they get a very nice Gleipnir, and they're able to take out the Lina. And now, because at this point in the game, Weaver is a 0 cooldown hero, you're going to be looking to continue to get active, right? Certain heroes like Terrorblade and Juggernaut, this video isn't really for you because when your abilities are on cooldown, you got to be a lot more careful, especially if you don't have an item that is built to fight, right? If you're buying something like Manta Midas, right? Or just Manta style in general, it's not that it does nothing in fights, it's just not nearly as effective as a Gleipnir. And we're going to see an engagement break out here, very easy execution, and they find the kill. And that's a nice little kill there because it's going to allow him to farm bot wave anyway. He had just pushed out top, so top was getting a little bit dangerous, and so this rotation it's not perfect, but it's pretty damn close. Next, we're going to actually see what I would consider a mistake from pakasz. He's farming up the jungle here, and his team ends up taking a fight. Now, I understand he's Weaver, so TPing doesn't do that much, but I think in this case, he actually should TP. In a situation where Roshan is dying, you want to get to the engagement as soon as possible. Rosh is just too big of a deal, so Sakuchi is not as fast as TPing here. It's a small thing, but whatever. He should have TP'd. And of course, he's going to connect. He's having a good fight, and even though his team ends up losing a couple heroes, they take down the Lina, and he's able to clean up. Now, immediately after this Rosh fight, he does kind of what I would say is unexpected. He starts hunting the Zeus. Not exactly what I thought he was going to do. I thought he was TPing bottom mainly for the effect of trying to push in the bot wave. But no, alas, he's in the enemy jungle hunting Zeus under his tier 2. And they do end up finding him. So once again, just understanding how damn good he is against this Zeus hero is not something I would have done. And I can tell you for a fact, these are the type of plays that make guys like pakasz here the top level players they are. They're always a little bit ahead, right? They understand their matchups in and out. But he's going to go back bottom. And I think really, this is the tough thing about pubs. I'm not going to lie, it's very hard to be perfect. And I don't think pakasz has some magic formula, which is why I'm doing my best just to give you guys examples. Because in this next engagement here, or next scenario here, he's going to run bottom, right? He scurries his way to bottom and his team ends up jumping anyway, right? His team goes a little bit YOLO. Now, I will admit, to some extent, I almost feel like he shouldn't have ran bottom here. I feel like he could have just farmed all the creeps in the area around his team, like all the neutral creeps, because in pubs, people tend to fight a lot, and so you can kind of just help out. I think maybe in a pro environment where your team can intentionally dodge, this would maybe be okay, but at the end of the day, it's risky to split up too much with your team. Now, his team wins the fight anyway, so perhaps he just knows they're too damn strong, and he's gonna run over. Now, at this point in the game, his gameplay is immediately going to change. The enemy team doesn't have the best blink stun. Mars is something you can definitely react to if you're really, really good. And so he's going to get really aggressive. And this is what I love. For the most part, he's been reacting to fights. The exception to that is he's hunted the Zeus a couple times, which I thought was particularly high skill. However, now that he's got BKB, they're going to smoke, and he's actually happy to just run up the hill. He has to be a little bit careful, but once the smoke doesn't pop exactly on the high ground, he gets a great Gleipnir bugs, and the bugs ends up hitting the Skywrath, and this is where it's the end of the line for Skywrath. He pops his BKB right before the Marcy hits him. He understands that there's no blink hexes this game, therefore he can make this play. A lot of people would make this play regardless of that fact, even if there was a lion on the enemy team, and they would end up dying, or a shaker, right? One of these types of instant stun, chain stun heroes. But because that doesn't exist, he heads over onto the sky and takes him out. And of course, now the Lina is going to TP out. Oh, it gets canceled. And now he's got a free 2-man Gleipnir. Okay, she BKBs it off, and he's going to win the fight. So just once again, understanding that it's a free Weaver game. It's not completely free, right? But once he has BKB, the stuns on the enemy team, Mars Spear and Marcy stun, are simply not that reliable. Of course, he can't just like run into them and not click BKB. He will get stunned. He clicked it not preemptively, but slightly preemptively, and it did pay off. And at this point in the game, the big selling point to me is that he's just not going to go back onto his side of the map. I recently coached a friend of mine who was playing Naga Siren, and he was the strongest hero on the map by a long shot. He's gotten really good at farming, but he's having a hard time. He was having a particularly hard time advancing the map and playing aggressive. And that's kind of what inspired me to make this video to some extent. I realized that a lot of you guys are probably having a similar issue where you feel really farmed, but you're just not putting enough map pressure. You're not finding the solo kills you need to find. You're not finding the angles or the initiation when you've hit the item timing that allows you to do so. And that's a big problem, right? Because carry players sometimes think I'm the guy who farms. If I'm not farming, I'm being inefficient. And that's just not the name of the game. 216 CS is way less than what he could have gotten if he just wanted to only farm, right? There's definitely a balance, especially on heroes like Weaver, Lina, any of these heroes that are pretty strong early on into the game. And alright, that's going to be the end of today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed as the enemy team completely gives up because it's NA pubs. And yeah, I think I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!